Well. Clemson Tiger fans, college football fans, welcome back to another episode of the All In Show right here on Clemson at the Voice of College Football. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm, as always, your host, Tiger Paul Craven. Got a jam-packed show for you guys tonight. Obviously going to put a bow on the North Carolina win this past weekend for our Clemson Tigers, our first Power 4 win of the season. Offense exploded in the first half. Some good things happened, but still lots of work for this team to do if they're going to win multiple games coming up for the rest of this season. Obviously going to talk the BC game coming up. Clemson travels up to Boston College to take on the Eagles up there. 7:30 kick on the ACC network. We're going to break down that game, tell you what we think and how we see it going, and wrap it up with a score prediction at the end. Of course, at the end of every show, we turn it over to you guys, the live chat, the comment section. Get to as many questions, comments that we can before we get out of here. So thank you guys for being here on this Wednesday. Obviously, normally this show's on a Tuesday, but due to a scheduling conflict with myself, we had to move it one day. So thank you guys for showing up and being here for that. A couple things before we get into the show tonight. If you're not already subscribed, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button for us. We're getting really close to that 6,000 subscriber mark, so your help with that would be greatly appreciated. Hit that like button. Really helps us out on these live videos. Helps get it out to a bigger audience and brings more people in so we can chop it up and talk about Clemson football, college football, and everything in between. With that said, we got channel memberships. If you would like to come hang out with me and Jordan during a live game stream, and we just sit in there and we chop it up about the game and talk about Clemson and talk about what's going on around the world in college football on a Saturday. Be sure to become a channel member and get access to that exclusive content. Last but certainly not least, we got the Super Chat feature. If you would like to support the show in that way, we would be greatly appreciative of your contributions to the show. And with that said, and without further ado, I'm going to bring on my co-host, Jordan Boatman. Jordan, what's up tonight?
Well, certainly not my Wi-Fi. So I'm just going to give out this disclaimer. If I go out today, y'all know why. AT&T is decided to be a bunch of, can I say terrorists? Will that be like will YouTube flag us for that? I already said it. They're being a bunch of terrorists. So, we're gonna try to survive this show tonight. And hopefully I sound good. Do I sound good on your end?
Sound good to me, man.
All right, sweet. All right, we running on hotspot connection right now, but I'm happy to be here nonetheless. Glad that we made it through another week, and Clemson has an interesting challenge up ahead going up to Chestnut Hill. It's been it's been a few years, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Always an interesting place to play, kind of a sleepy place to play. Boston College is always one of those, physical teams. They're kind of a team that beat you up regardless of how much better you are. We've seen it in the past. You remember way back when Trevor Lawrence went down and DJ Uiagalelei had that famous comeback against Boston College before he turned into a can of tomatoes on the field the very next season. But it's just one of those games where, Boston College doesn't go up and beat Clemson very often. It's rare that they get a win against the Tigers, but they are a very physical team, and they are a team that is going to challenge you physically. So it's going to have to be something that Clemson's ready for. It's going to be an interesting trip up there. Like I said, 7:30 game kick on the ACC network. So night game in Chestnut Hill should be interesting. Is it their red bandana game or is it not? I don't know.
I don't believe it is. Okay. As far as I know, I think. Let me fact check that because I actually have not.
I know there was a stretch there where it felt like Clemson was their red bandana game for like every year. For a while there, but it's been a minute since we've played BC up there. I think 2022 was that the last time we were
2022. Yep. When DJ, I remember that game was kind of ugly for a bit.
Yeah, it was ugly, and then
they pulled away, and in the second half, I think the final. I'm usually pretty good with final scores. Somebody can fact check me. I want to say Clemson won 31-3. That feels right. I haven't actually looked, but this is not even the 2022 Clemson team. So we cannot go into this game counting on that kind of result. The line is set at 14 right now for Clemson, which, hey, I mean, they covered last week. Great to see. Vegas finally, got this team right for 1 week. I don't know if that's going to continue this week. I think BC is a little bit more, despite their record actually being worse than UNC. I think they're a more confident football team. So I think that's going to definitely play a factor into this, and we'll see if they can, continue to carry the performance from last Saturday on the road.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Look, it's I have no doubt this team is a better team that we're about to go play than the North Carolina team that we just finished playing last weekend. That team is in utter turmoil. All the stuff with Bill Belichick coming out today.
Yeah,
it's getting crazy up there in North Carolina. I don't know what they're doing. Yeah, I didn't think it was going to work from the beginning. So none of this surprises me. I didn't really think it was going to go this sour, quite this fast.
This fast, I know.
With Bill Belichick, but I did not think he would be successful at North Carolina. I did not think he would be at North Carolina for very long. But they are way worse than I ever anticipated them being. So Arthur Moss said you're correct, Jordan. It was 31-3.
Sweet. Hey, listen, I am an encyclopedia for remembering useless, final scores that nobody remembers. So that's I'm proud of myself right there. I'll give myself a pat on the back.
That's right.
But yeah, I didn't expect, I didn't expect much, especially in year one from Bill Belichick. But I did not think things would go this south this fast either. I mean, you look at, it makes sense in retrospect when you consider all the hijinks and the antics and the fanfare heading into the seat, like just the off season, all the turmoil and the roster turnover. I was like, yeah, I really don't. I mean, we went into the season saying, yeah, we really don't know what we're going to see from this team, and it would not be surprised us if they were terrible. And they've been terrible, but it's been worse than we thought. It's not even just that they don't have good players; it's that they flat out looked. Throughout this season, they just sort of looked like a poorly coached football team. And when you consider that UNC brought in all these guys from the NFL, Bill Belichick was adamant that, at least it seems to me that he was adamant and very confident that he would be able to coach up whoever he brought in. That's clearly not been the case. It's been a disaster, and now it's being reported that he is currently in talks with UNC exploring buyout options. It is a mess. And then when you consider the recruiting violations that have been uncovered, they've been their cornerbacks coach was giving improper benefits to players. Players were selling their allotted tickets that are supposed to be for family and friends, for cash. All sorts of craziness. Recruiting violations. It has been worse than I think anybody could have possibly imagined.
Yeah, I mean, look, but it's UNC. Is anybody surprised that they have a crazy amount of violations? UNC has not exactly been a clean university when it comes to following any sort of rules. So everybody remembers their not going to class scandal way back in the day.
Fake class scandal, yeah.
Fake classes, fake transcripts. I don't know. This is craziness, man.
It's been.
Yeah, something. I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and be like I predicted any of this. I simply just didn't think Bill Belichick would be a fit at North Carolina, and I didn't think he'd be there long. But this is much worse. They should have just kept Mac Brown at this point. I don't know I don't know what the hell North Carolina was thinking. Like this is terrible, man. Like
Well,
this.
and that's the thing. And John makes a great point in the comments, and this is something that I've heard from people as well, that have that have ties with the UNC program. That this was not when the hire was made, this was not something that all of the higher ups at North Carolina were on board with. And in fact, some of the higher ups were passed over in terms of making the decision. It was very much a controversial hire internally when it was made, and now it seems like the walls are crumbling down, and it's a disaster right now. I mean, they're initially, when there were reports this morning that there were going to be staff changes because this was coming out early in the morning, like I was thinking, oh man, okay, they're gonna fire what's his face, the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
I cannot think of his name right now. I thought he was going to be the scapegoat, and they were going to make maybe they get rid of the cornerbacks coach because that was given the players improper benefits and all of that. But now it seems like this is going to be like potentially a wholesale, type of, exodus in terms of the coaching staff. Like we could see what we saw from UCLA this year. It is a disaster. It is about as bad as I have seen a program and a hire go this fast in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, look, I just this is crazy. And it sucks for North Carolina and their fans, but I mean, I don't feel bad for them, honestly. Like, I never thought this was going to work. I thought it was a weird hire to begin with. He literally has zero college experience whatsoever. The NFL is not college. The NFL is a collection of talent. And coaching them at a really high level. College is about bringing in players that need development and being able to get them closer to what their potential or what their finished version of what they will be is. It's just a lot of things are different. Like you got guys going to class and you got a balanced tutoring, and like college is just such a different game than the NFL. For the people out there that thought Bill Belichick was just going to walk in just because he's got 7 Super Bowls or whatever it is under his belt and just like blow away the rest of college football, like I don't know why anybody ever thought that. It's not even remotely the same job. It's a completely different job. So
same ball, different sport, as they say.
Yeah, same ball, completely different sport. A head coach of an NFL team and a head coach of a college football team couldn't be further away from different jobs, in my opinion. So for that reason, like I never thought it was going to work with him at North Carolina. But to your point, Jordan, this is, man, they went off the rails quick, fast, and in a hurry. Now they got violations coming out left and right, improper benefit. I mean, goodness, what a mess. What a mess North Carolina has created for themselves. What they do at this point, I mean, honestly, at this point, just like just clean house and punt. Yeah, you just got to punt on this season, and hopefully you can find a decent coach that's willing to try to come clean this mess up for you next year.
It is a disaster, man, and
it's bad, dude. And the bad thing about North Carolina is like, yeah, okay, you move on from Bill Belichick. You fire everybody on the staff. Okay, cool. Like, what coach is going to want to go mess with that nonsense over there right now? Like, I mean, there's somebody out there that'll take the job. I'm not saying they won't be able to find anybody. I'm just saying I don't think they'll be able to find like the level of coach that their fans are wanting or that they would be looking for at this point. I mean, this is a mess. You fire Mac Brown because you say he's too old and blah, 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 blah. And then you hire a guy that's older than him that just makes a clown show of your program in a matter of in a matter of 6 months or whatever it's been. It's crazy.
And what people don't even, a lot of people don't realize is how much money North Carolina actually has tied up in this roster. Like, not even just the coaching staff. Yeah, they paid the coaching staff a ton. They spent a lot of money.
Yeah,
like,
they brought in 70 people. Like, transfers aren't free.
Right.
Like, all of those guys are making some amount of money. They're not all millionaires. I'm not saying that. But, like, all 70 of those transfers that came in are probably making some amount of money. So, like, just think about that. Think about that sheer number, even if you're paying them a little bit. That's a lot of money.
Well, and for a lot of these guys, I mean, the ones you saw on the field on Saturday, like, quite a bit of money was tied up in a lot of those guys. I mean, I don't want to say they got they overpaid, but they overpaid for a lot of players because they knew that that they were going to. They felt like they were smarter than everybody else. I think that is the biggest thing and the biggest reason why this has been such a disaster. Is Bill Belichick came in and said, and it's like, I'm the smartest guy in the room, and my staff is going to they're going to out scout everybody, and we're just going to bring in a bunch of guys from G5 programs, and we know what to look for in players. And like thinking it's just like the NFL, and I'm like, no. I mean, in college, you have to, when you're scouting body types and their long-term projection, it is much more of a wild card than getting a physically developed 22, 23-year-old coming out of college. Like that, is probably not going to do much more maturation in terms of their body and their skill set when they get to the league. It is a completely different game, and so. I'm so like baffled at just what I've seen, and now it's going to be a matter of I mean, why would a prospective coach want to do that and come in and try to clean this up? P. Digits says sometimes destroy it to build it. Change comes with the time and cost. The thing is the change was this offseason. They purposely let a lot of guys that they had on that roster walk.
Yeah.
To bring in like this was supposed to be the change,
right? So this was supposed to get you going in the right direction from their frustrations with Mac Brown. Exactly. It not only did it get worse, it got way worse. Like, everybody in college football is looking at North Carolina laughing at them right now. Like, what do they got going on over there? You got parents coming out talking. I mean, it's just every which way you turn, it's all bad. It's all bad. There's like no redeeming part of what's going on at North Carolina football right now.
A disaster, man. But hey, we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, we'll leave that there. We'll leave that for the North Carolina folks to figure out. I don't know what you do. Burn it down. Cancel the program. I don't know. I have no idea what you do, but it is what it is. But Jordan, let's talk about not so much about North Carolina's coaching problems or their NCAA violations or whatever the heck else they got going on. But we did play a game against them this past weekend. Clemson got their first Power 5 win of the season. Power 4 win of the season. And they did it in dominating fashion in the first half. Obviously, there were some issues in the second half with the second-team offense and third-team offense and stuff like that. But for the most part, dominating win by the Tigers. As you've gone back and looked at parts of it or the whole thing again, just kind of your thoughts on how Clemson played and now that we've had a few days to digest it at this point, do you feel any differently than we kind of did in that post-game live?
I mean, I feel a little bit better still. I mean, that, this team is good enough to make a bad team look bad. I think, offensively, it was nice to see Cade making the right reads and making the right throws. I mean, we can comment on some of the accuracy and maybe, how fast he went, he got the ball out sometimes. And how accurate the ball was. But at the end of the day, like, he was making the correct throws. I didn't have too many issues with his decision making on Saturday, and I think that's the biggest thing. He played point guard. He got the ball to the playmakers, and they made plays.
Yeah.
Obviously Brian, TJ Moore had a great game. Of course, I guess technically Antonio Williams got him the football there, but still, Bryant Wesco, he had a big play. Obviously, Christian Bentancur had sort of a breakout performance, so that was good to see.
Yeah.
The ball was just, he was getting the ball out, and they were decisive. Clemson didn't do much in terms of running the football, but I think a lot of it was really it was because they didn't have to, especially in that first half, because North Carolina was biting so hard on double moves and a lot of the stuff that Clemson was running. They clearly had a plan to take advantage of North Carolina's DBs and their communication and coverage, and I thought they did a good job of that. So I think going forward, obviously I don't have too much to say about the second half in terms of I think it's clear that you don't have the depth that's going to be you can rely on, at least at this point in the season. But as far as the starters go, I think they played a pretty nice game, and I think they needed that. It was a nice shot of confidence. Looking at the PFF grades, Cade Klubnik was your highest graded starter on offense. Actually, the highest graded player on offense was Clark Sanderson, who made that nice catch over the middle. At the end of the game. But Cade Klubnik was the highest graded player offensively for a starter for Clemson offensively. 81, easily his best of the season. It was good to see. 79.8 pass grade. So I think all of those things, they contributed to Clemson looking more like the team we thought they'd be offensively. Like how they involved Adam Randall. He didn't run the ball a ton, but he made two big plays in the receiving game. We've been saying the whole time, even during the offseason, what his ability as a receiver would mean, to his switch to running back, and that because of his experience at wide receiver, it would make him such a unique weapon. That continues to, we finally got to see more of that, and we've seen it at points during the season, but this was the most that they really got him involved in the passing game all season, and you got great results because he's just, he has a lot of experience playing receiver. So, and you can flex him out, you can bring him in, you can run him out of the backfield. And he's made those plays, and he's tough, especially if you get him matched up with with maybe a nickel linebacker or a nickel corner who can't run with him. Of course, he's extremely tough to tackle. All of those things make him such a great weapon, and I think he continues to put on tape that I think justifies a shot in the NFL. I think he has a legitimate case that he's been your best player on offense this season, and keep feeding him the ball, keep getting him involved in the offense. Not just running the football, but catching it, because he is that good. So, good to see from them. What do you think? You have anything from the offense in terms of things?
Yeah, kind of going through the offense's performance, starting out with a huge play, Antonio Williams to TJ Moore. Great way to start the game, right? And it kind of created a spark, and you kind of saw them ride that wave through the entire first half. You mentioned Adam Randall there. I think, you make a good point. Regardless of whether he's the best player on the offense this season, he's been the most consistent offensive player this season by far. He produces every single game. Yeah, has he had a couple fumbles here and there? But he has absolutely produced at a high level every single game. I think he's probably been better at running back in that transition than we probably thought he would be. I was hoping that he would be pretty good, but he's been really good for the Tigers. It was nice to see some of those younger running backs get in and get some looks. It's clear at quarterback at this point, that you don't have anything behind Cade Klubnik. There is no real competitive depth past Cade Klubnik, which kind of makes sense now that when Dabo Swinney was asked several times throughout the first 4 games where Cade was really struggling in a big way, hey, did you guys ever think about going to Fazina? And he was like, no, Cade's our guy. I think we all found out on Saturday why they never thought about giving Chris Fazina a real look out there in those first 4 games. So that's unfortunate for the future of Clemson, but we're kind of right here present in the season right now. One of the things that we kind of talked about going into the North Carolina game, Jordan, and one of the things that I said I wanted to see was Garrett Riley help Cade out. Cade has clearly been Mr. Happy Feet in the pocket all season. He's been very unsettled. He's been very unsure of what he's seeing. He's been very unsure of the blocking and just overall confidence at a low for the first 4 games of the season, right? So going into the game, I talked a lot about, hey, this is Garrett Riley's job. He has to get Cade comfortable. He's got to give him some easy throws. We need to get our playmakers the ball out in space and just let them work. And that's exactly what happened for large amounts of that first half. You're getting TJ Moore out in space working. Tristan Smith, you're getting Adam Randall, so on and so. You're getting your playmakers the ball out in space. And you saw what happens when you give those guys an opportunity. They make people miss. Christian Bentaker scoring several touchdown passes, making guys miss, looking athletic out there. So, I thought Garrett Riley did a good job of that in the first half. I thought Cade did a good job in the first half of just delivering the ball on time, trusting what he's seeing, and it resulted in kind of an offensive explosion in the first half. Now, with all that said, yes, it was against North Carolina. Yes, North Carolina might be the worst Power 4 team in the entire country. That very well may be the case. But at the end of the day, Clemson just needed to see the ball go through the hoop, right? They needed to see a shot drop for them. They needed to feel that confidence and that joy on the sideline again. And I think that's what the first half provided. When your second and third string started getting in that third quarter, fourth quarter, offense got kind of bogged down, made a couple drives, but also made some mistakes. They didn't finish well. But again, it was nice to see just a little bit of momentum on that sideline, just a little bit of momentum when it comes to the offense not looking like you're trying to pull teeth just to get a first down, which is what it's looked like for much of the season. So it was nice to see. What can you really pull from it for the rest of the season? Nothing really, other than, okay, we had a good game. We had a good half. The starters went out there and they beat a bad team badly. But again, that's the first time we've seen Clemson do that this year. So now we know that this team is capable of beating a bad team badly. Now let's see if they're capable of beating, a better team. We'll see. I'm not going to sit here and act like because, Cade threw for 350 or whatever it was yards and 4 touchdowns and all this stuff that suddenly Clemson is going to run the table and, we're back. We're going to find our way somehow into the ACC championship. Like, I'm not saying any of that stuff, but it was nice to see Clemson go out there and have some success offensively. Hopefully that can give some of these guys some confidence that they clearly lost throughout the first 4 games of the season. Hopefully they got some renewed confidence and they can go out there and just play a little bit better for the rest of the season and win some games. That's what I think Clemson should be focused on right now. And that's what I think the fans should be focused on right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's, we're going to, like you said, I mean, now it's time you've passed the test. You still have a pretty significant failing grade on the season, And I'm not even sure if, with how the first few weeks of the season have played out, that you can completely recover from that. But, if you're going to salvage any semblance of what this season has been, you passed the first test, but now you got a tougher one. I think, obviously travel wise, it's much more difficult up in Chestnut Hill. That environment, it's going to be, the time of day. And I think just BC is a better football team. And, Dabo was saying this week that they are, they're a few plays from being, 4-1, and, you kind of roll your eyes, but, BC has been pretty competent in the games they've played, save for last week. And I do think there were some extenuating circumstances in that one. So,
yeah, I think they had a ton of injuries last week, and it just, it got away from them quickly, and it didn't go well.
Yeah. And, you're facing they were facing a true freshman quarterback, basically no film on him. It is what it is. I think BC's probably better than that performance showed. We'll see how many of those guys they get back this week. But anyway, this is another test. If you take care of business here, maybe we can start talking about building a little bit of momentum. That's, it is a real thing in college football, because next Saturday you're facing significantly stiffer competition in SMU at home. So you need to be able to put on some good tape and this week and feel confidence heading into that game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really all about building confidence at this point for the Clemson Tigers, and riding that wave of momentum that hopefully a game like the game they just played produces. All you can hope for in a game where you're playing a really bad team is you beat them bad. You get to get your reserves in and play a lot of snaps, which Clemson did, and you get out of there relatively healthy, which Clemson did. Outside of that, this game against North Carolina means nothing. But hopefully they can ride the momentum, ride the wave, and we can stack some wins here before we end up with a season that we're all truly embarrassed of.
Yeah.
All right, guys, make sure you're checking out the Voice of College Football page, our website over there, https://vocfb.com. That's vocfb.com. Your one-stop shop for all things Voice of College Football. You got your show schedule over there to the left, all your various big titles up there of recent articles that have been written on the site, information about all things Voice of College Football, and the writers that are on there, the different podcasters that are a part of the network, all the various channels. So go over there, check it out, vocfb.com, vocfb.com. All right, guys, we got 21 people in the live chat right now. Thank you guys so much for being in here. Get your comments in here. Get your questions in here. As you know, at the end of every show, we will turn it over to you to the comment section for a little bit and respond to as many comments and questions as we possibly can. But we're going to keep it moving so that we can spend maximum time with you guys. Jordan, we mentioned earlier, Clemson heads up to Chestnut Hill this Saturday night, 7:30 kick on the ACC network. Gonna be a really interesting game up there tonight, Saturday night. It's gonna be a much tougher matchup than the one that you just had against UNC on Saturday. This team has a very big and physical offensive line that you're gonna have to worry about. They play very tough. They fly around to the ball. They got just, kind of that tough mentality about them. They're going to try to beat you up if they can, and get physical with you. A team that comes in and, obviously we've talked about it. They have a 1-4 schedule, but a team that's really lost some heartbreakers They've lost some really close games. Their record's 1-4, but I do believe they are a much better football team than we faced this past Saturday when we lined up against UNC. They had the double overtime loss to Mississippi State earlier in the season, and then close losses to Stanford and Cal, and then last week against Pitt. As you mentioned, it just kind of got off the rails. They were missing a ton of players that were injured. We'll see if they can get back for this game. But Jordan, just your kind of overall thoughts on this matchup, and what kind of challenge BC is going to present to the Tigers this weekend.
Yeah, just another matchup where it seems like we're just going through the Bill Belichick coaching tree. Obviously, with Bill O'Brien at the helm at BC. And yeah, I mean, this team I think they're better than their record. I think quite a bit. I think they're pretty competent. And, although the spread is about the same for this game as it was for UNC, I think, like I said, I think this team is probably significantly better than North Carolina is. Just watching them on tape, much more competently coached football team, which is crazy to say. Bill O'Brien seems to have this college thing figured out better than his mentor. But it's going to be a challenge. BC offensively, they present some issues. At quarterback, Dylan Lonergan, transferring in, beating out Grayson James from last season. I think he's been pretty good. Despite their record, I think he's been pretty good, and I think he's been a steadying presence at quarterback for an offense that's pretty limited. But they have some playmakers that I think Clemson is going to have to watch out for. And defensively, I think they've kind of been all over the place. They've been hit really hard by injuries. Last season was last week was kind of a disaster as far as the injury front is concerned, and they had a lot of guys out, and I think that certainly affected giving up 48 points to Pitt. But largely, I think this BC team is they're going to play sound. I don't think they're super talented, but they have a couple of guys that I think can give them problems defensively too, and they are. I think they're pretty well balanced in terms of their capabilities on stopping the run and the pass. So this is I don't think this is a great team by any means. I think Clemson is probably a better team. But I say probably with underlined. But I do think that this is a game that could get sideways and get a little uncomfortable. If the Clemson from the first 3 games of the season, 3 or 4 games of the season, shows up, we could be talking about a really tight ball game. So we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. You kind of mentioned it there, and it's kind of one of the bigger things heading into this game for me is that defense is kind of in a bad way right now. Is tough as they played it, and that kind of stuff. The mounting injuries for them, they're just kind of in a bad way right now. I don't think that bodes well for them with Clemson coming to town, and albeit having one of our worst seasons in recent memory, at least the way it's starting. We'll see how it finishes by the end of the season. But it is an offense that got a little bit of momentum going last week. And this is a defense that's got a ton of injuries and mounting. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of product they can put up against the Clemson Tigers. And it's going to be interesting to see if Clemson can carry over any momentum that they built, any sort of swagger, any sort of confidence that they built from last game, beating up on a bad team. This is not you mentioned it, this is not a great team. They're better than North Carolina, so you better come, with some respect, and you better come up there ready to play football because they'll punch you in the mouth. Bill O'Brien, I think he's a pretty good coach. He coaches a physical brand of football, and that's just kind of the attitude of Boston College anyway. I think this is a place where Clemson can get a little bit more going offensively. Again, quick reads with Cade. get him some confident throws in the beginning. Try to start the game out fast. Try to script a drive where he's getting the ball out fast. He's seeing the ball caught, and you can gain momentum and build from there. I think that would be, kind of my approach into this game and attacking that defense. And then defensively, we mentioned last week that the linebackers kind of had probably their best game of the season last week. TJ Parker probably had his best game of the season last week. And just build on that, guys. Like, build on that momentum, build on that confidence. Stop worrying about being 1-3. We're already 1-3. The season's already, started out in a disastrous way. It's not like any of us thought. But these guys just got to go out there and fight. They got to go out there. And this is definitely an offense that, they're not going to, they're not one of the best offenses in the country, right? So there's room for our defense to have some success and affect the quarterback and get pressure. And let's see if we can stack another game together where that defense plays really well, which they did. The first team defense did not allow a touchdown last week. They allowed one field goal. And then, the reserves kind of at the end gave up that touchdown. But I just want to see that first team defense go out there and play with some physicality and take BC out of the game early.
Yep, absolutely. So kind of diving into the I guess we can start with this BC offense. When I watch them play, I think the thing that jumps out to me, I think they are very much an offense that is predicated on efficiency. They want to stay ahead of the chains. They are not a super explosive offense, and they cannot run the football very well. Mm-hmm. I think they put a lot on Dylan Lonergan. I think he's averaging over 35 pass attempts a game, but he's been very good at managing the football. They have, the key for them has been getting the football out. They're going to do a lot of things to get the ball to their playmakers and kind of use them as extensions of the run game when the traditional run game isn't working. They do a lot of condensed sets. They like to motion guys. One thing I didn't really watch much of the Pitt game because I didn't think that was a great indicator of what they are. Mm-hmm. I think the Cal game, was the most, I felt like that was the best game to watch in terms of, just kind of seeing what they're about on both sides of the football. They, like I said, they do a lot of motion offensively. They not really so much as window dressing, but to get, man indicators or man or zone indicators and see kind of what the defense is in. I think that's something that Clemson is going to have to contend with as a team that, does play a decent amount of man, not as much as they used to, but still primarily a man coverage team. So, communication is going to be key. I think you're going to have guys involved in the run fits because they are going to have extra blockers a lot of the time when they do try to run the football. Mm-hmm. Turbo Richard is, I think, their do-it-all guy. He's a pretty good football player. If they were a better run blocking offensive line, I think statistically he'd still be having a pretty good season. And I think he still is. He's averaging 100 yards all-purpose per game, or at least 100 yards from scrimmage per game. Yeah, because he is a very versatile back, a tough runner. They use him a lot out of the backfield. I think he's the guy that kind of worries me the most in terms of just this matchup. Because like I said, they are going to use him in the passing game, and he is a weapon in that sense. Another guy to watch, I think, their safety blanket at wide receiver has been Lewis Bond. He had almost 67 catches. I think 67 catches last year. He's an all ACC honorable mention. He is the kind of their guy that he's going to move when they need somebody to move the chains. The ball is probably going to him. He's very good at getting open. The yards per catch is not going to wow you, but he has a ton of receptions. He has 38 on the season, and the next closest is their tight end Jeremiah Franklin, who I think is also a pretty good player. I think there are two guys on this BC offense that I don't want beating me, I'm watching Turbo Richard and I'm watching Lewis Bond. I don't want any of those guys. If you can keep them out of the game as much as possible, I think you can really bog them down offensively. But like I said, the fact they can't run the football that well, you need to be able to win up front. That's
absolutely
that's the matter.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing, like going into this game, right? BC doesn't run the ball great, but Turbo's still averaging 5 yards per carry on the season. And Clemson has, this season proven that even teams that don't particularly run the ball well can somehow muster up running the ball, decently against the Clemson defense. So, yes, it's a part of their game that they don't do incredibly well, but it's a part of the game that Clemson's defense really needs to step up. And that front four, that front seven need to take it away and make them very one-dimensional. And it makes life for the play caller, Tom Allen, a whole lot easier when those big dogs up front can just take away the run. And then we know BC can't run the ball. So they become very predictable and become, one-dimensional. So definitely have to do that. Definitely got to watch the guys out wide. You mentioned Bond. That's not, there's no gimme wins for Clemson. I don't trust this team at all. It was nice to see what happened last week, but my trust level for this team is not very high. So there's no gimme win. So they got to go out there with the proper respect and go out there and play with great effort. Because if not, you're going to find yourself in some sort of dogfight, and it's going to be an ugly game, and it's going to go down to the fourth quarter, and me and you are going to have a heart attack on stream, and it's going to be terrible.
Yeah, very, very much so. BC is going to want to try to take their shots. They know they kind of have to, but they have not been super successful at it. So you got to hold up on the back end. Right. They're gonna, like I said, they're gonna do a lot of things to try to create and manufacture some explosive plays. But you got to be ready for that. Yeah, you got to win your matchups up front, whether it's involving extra guys in the box or whatever, or sending more pressure. You got to make sure that they aren't comfortable, because Dylan Lonergan, like I said, I think he's been very good. He's stayed in the pocket primarily, but he actually is a pretty good athlete. He was a really, really highly regarded baseball prospect. So he does have some athleticism to him. The rushing numbers aren't going to show that, but he is, especially in the short yardage game, he does have utility there. And he is a tough guy, and he can fight for some tough yardage when they ask him to. So that's I think that's something that you're going to have to keep an eye on. And like I said, Bill O'Brien, he's an offensive mind. He's going to have some wrinkles for Clemson, some things we haven't seen this year. So, I mean, you're going to, that's just how every team is going to play you. But, there's definitely going to be, they're going to try to, I have a feeling they're going to try to do some things differently to try to trick Clemson and some tendency breakers and things like that. So we'll see. But I think this offense is very limited, and they can be limited, but you got to do the things that you need to. You got to make sure that they can't run the football, and
you got to limit Turbo.
Limit Turbo.
Him being their leading rusher and their fourth leading wide receiver, so he does a lot for that offense. So take him away, and then let the rest of the guys work.
Absolutely. All right. Flipping to the other side of the football for this BC defense, the much maligned BC defense at this point because of the injuries.
They got any players left over there, Jordan? Like, what's that defense going to look like on Saturday?
Yeah, I don't know, man. They had 10 guys out. I think was the number last week.
That's insane, dude.
Yeah, that's
on one side of the football. That's crazy.
That is not great. Now, they weren't all starters, but they were guys that played. So
it don't matter at that point. When you got that many guys out on the same side of the football, it don't matter if they're starters or not. That's going to
Yeah.
affect your on-the-field product in a big way.
Yeah. And I think it certainly affected them this past Saturday, facing a new quarterback for Pitt, a guy that they didn't have any film on, and it was kind of a disaster from the beginning. I don't think they're that bad. We'll see. The BC hasn't released an injury report in terms of guys that they're expected to get back. But I'm gonna talk about this team and what they have in regards to, I'm going to speak under the assumption that they get some of these guys back and talk about them as if they have all their players back. This BC team, I think this defense is not, stellar by any means, but I think they're well coached. They're going to do a lot of things to they get everybody involved in terms of stopping the run. I think they actually, one of their safety I'm blanking on his name right now. Omar Thornton. He leads the team in run stops, which is pretty wild. But that tells you that they get guys involved. I think he's tied with a linebacker. But regardless, they get everybody involved in stopping the run. They've been a fairly decent team. I think they're allowing about 3.7 yards per carry, on the season, to teams. Now you could filter that against solely Power 5 opponents, and maybe it's a little bit more inflated. But I think that they are pretty competent, regardless of how they looked against Pitt. When they have their guys back, they are clearly not very deep, and I think that's something that they are. We're kind of counting on. If they don't have some of these guys back, they were missing one of their better defensive linemen, and Quintavious Hutchins last week. He leads the team in pressures, not in sacks, but in pressures. So he's certainly the guy that gets involved the most in the pass rush. They're not a great team in terms of generating tackles for loss, but they will. They do have guys that can get after it. So I think for Clemson, it's going to be about continuing to get Adam Randall involved in the run game and pass game. I think if you establish him as a guy that teams have to game plan for, I think it opens up so much more for this offense. Because I just feel like going into every week, it doesn't feel like any defense is really keying in on him or really, wondering how often he's going to get the football. It's like, okay, he'll get some, he'll get his, but they're going to go away from him, and we'll take whatever damage he does to us. We'll live with, because we know they're not going to, go to him enough. And I feel like that's got to change. I think you need to make an effort, to get him involved in the football, get him the football and do different things with him. Because like I said, I do think that opens up everything else. He's proven that so far this season. So I think that's the biggest thing. Continue to scheme up easy, shot plays for Cade Klubnik and get your receivers involved, but also, just the simple stuff, when Cade was making, quick, easy reads and just getting the ball out to these receivers, they were, getting yards after the catch, and, making the job a lot easier. You don't always have to just hit a bomb over the middle or down the sideline. It can be just a running catch, like the little, the quick, hitch to Brian Wesco that went for 40 yards. Like, those types of plays are backbreakers for any defense. And I think that's ultimately what I want to see. A lot of what we saw against North Carolina, if you can build on that and do that against I think a better defense, I think that'll be a good sign. I think it'll be a good sign.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think the biggest thing, kind of heading into this is what's their health look like. You're probably not going to know that until, game time on Saturday, and you kind of see their warm-ups and stuff like that. But, just last week missing 10 guys, that's huge. Whether they're all starters or none of them are starters, When you're talking about the rotation and kind of the effect that has on a game, it's a huge deal. So we'll see how healthy they can get, how many of those 10 they can get back for this Clemson game this week. But make no mistake, they're going to come out. They're going to be high energy. They're going to be ready. They're going to be looking to, beat this Clemson Tiger team, because I guarantee you they fully believe that they can come out here and win this game. So Clemson's got to go out there, be aggressive. Garrett Riley, please run the football. Please run the football. We got Adam Randall. We got Eazy-E. We got Gideon Davison. Challenge those big boys up front to go get you some yards. And again, same thing as last week, rinse and repeat. Get your playmakers the ball out in space. Make quick, easy reads for Cade. Continue to grow that confidence. You do those things, I think you'll be all right. You don't, again, could turn into a dogfight or a rock fight. I don't want YouTube to cancel me.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. That we wouldn't want. I mean, I think I said terrorist at the beginning of the show. So
yeah, whatever.
It is what it is at this point. If YouTube wants to flag us, I guess we'll live with those. We'll live with the consequences. I guess the draconian censorship policies on this app are. Yeah. Anyway, that's a whole another conversation. But yeah. You gotta establish the run in this game and hit the easy plays in the passing game when they're there. It's a very, very simple game plan, but like I said, I don't think this defense is all that is great. I think they're especially when they don't have their best players and they don't have.
Here's the biggest difference. They're going to play with effort.
Yeah,
that North Carolina team, they're clearly checked out.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see like Adam Randall run down the sideline and just like be untouched or like the guy try to push him out instead of finishing.
He could have gotten tackled 3 times, and North Carolina's defense was like, nah, whatever, man, he can have it. Yeah. So that's the team that's checked out. That's not what you're going to see from this BC team. You're going to see effort. Regardless of how many injuries they have. Very simple game plan. Like we said, Jordan, we laid it out, but you got to go out there and execute it. And not outthink yourself, Garrett Riley. Don't outthink yourself.
Don't. All right. Any other things that jump out to you about this team, or I think I kind of covered it. I mean, I don't think. I think their corners are pretty vulnerable. I think that's probably the best opportunity you have. I
mean, look at
Max Tucker,
and you mentioned how aggressive they are in bringing those guys down and run support. That's typically something you can exploit if they're a little too aggressive or a little too reactive to plays in the running game. That's when you can, draw up some plays to exploit that aggressiveness and get them caught in a bad position and hit it for an explosive play. So I'm sure we'll see some of that out of Garrett Riley this week as well. But again, you just got to go out there, execute your game plan, and try to put another successful week together. It's crazy. We are on what is this week? Is this week 7?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is week 7. We're already in week 7 of the college football season, Jordan. And we got one Power 4 win. So here's for going for the second Power 4 win. All right.
Yeah. Here's to it.
All right, guys. A place where you can go get some great merch to help the Clemson Tigers win this weekend. I assure you that it would bring them the greatest of luck if you go check out the Voice of College Football Clemson channel's merch over on our website, VOCFB-shop. That's VOCFB-shop. You see it right there on the screen. Got different kinds of hats there, camo hats, black hats, shirts with the VOC Clemson, VOCFB Clemson logo. Comes in a lot of different colors, different prints on the camo there, different colors on the hats and all the shirts. Got some polos on here as well, some other shirts, some crew necks. You guys see it there. And then down at the bottom here, we got your koozie that you can throw your cans in, a tumbler, and then obviously a coffee cup to help you get over having too many of these in the on game day. All right, guys. So go check it out. VOCFB-shop. Get yourself something nice, and it helps support the channel all at the same time. So it's a win-win for everybody. All parties involved get something, and your support would be greatly appreciated. All right, Jordan, it is score prediction time. We have not been great at these so far this season. We have fell short of the mark. How did we do last week? What was your – you were 27 –
17.
17, and I was 20-17.
Yep.
So you were a lot closer than me.
Still wasn't great.
Not great, but you take the dub there. All right. So let's look at the line. I'll tell you where it started and where it currently is. And then we will give our score predictions. And that'll obviously tell people whether we're looking to the under or looking for the over. All right. So Jordan, according to ESPN, it opened up at 14.5 points. It is now down to 13.5. So Clemson's favored by 13.5 currently. Opened up at 55.5 over under. It's now down 1 point to 54.5 for the over under. So, Jordan, what say you?
Okay. Yeah, this is a matchup that I really don't know what to expect. Coming off of the North Carolina performance, I mean, you have to question is like, does this team build on that performance, or was that just kind of a one-off? UNC is pretty bad. So was that performance just a product of UNC being that bad, or did Clemson really, start to find something and that they can, work on moving forward? And, that's going to tell us a lot. This week is going to tell us a lot about, whether this team has truly, corrected some things, and maybe we can have some better conversations going forward. But, Boston College, this is a matchup that I think Clemson is, there are a lot of things in Clemson's favor, but the environment, the sleepy sort of environment up there, and the fact that it's going to be a night game for them, the travel, all of that, it is one of the more unique, venues in the ACC because of it. And I don't know how this team is going to respond to that. I really don't. It's, honestly, over the course of the season, they played better away from Death Valley than at. So, maybe that's
yeah, for sure.
So maybe that, that they just are more comfortable being. I mean, I think they played better against Georgia Tech than in UNC collectively than they did against LSU, Troy, and Syracuse. So I think Clemson gets the win here. I'm not sure that it's going to quite look like it did last Saturday. It could, that you have the potential, but I don't know. I think this BC team is competent, and I think, I think there's going to be some mistakes made on both sides of the ball for Clemson. This team has shown that's kind of in their DNA right now, and I don't know if a win over a terrible North Carolina team is going to completely kind of exercise those demons. So I think Clemson is in for a competitive football game. I think they win. I'm not sure if they cover. I'm going to go Clemson 20. I'm going to go Clemson 30, Boston College 20. I think this is a game where, BC kind of, something tells me they're going to have a little bit more success offensively than they probably should.
Yep.
But I do think Clemson did find some things going forward, that I think are offensively that they'll be able to build on. And if they can get to 30 on the road, I think I think you'll take that. And again, this team is undefeated with Garrett Riley as offensive coordinator when they've scored 30+ points. So if you can get to 30, I think that's a good sign. I'm not taking them to cover though on the road. It just I can't do it in good conscience right now.
No.
Against a somewhat competent Power 4 team. Clemson 30, BC 20. But yeah, I think you get out of there with a win, and we can start talking about how they do against SMU.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I said it earlier in the show. I'll say it again. My trust level for the Clemson Tigers right now is pretty low. I don't trust this team, although it was nice to see the offensive explosion last week. It was nice just to watch a Clemson game for the first time this season where you didn't have to worry about who was going to win. But, with that said, I do think this Boston College team is going to come to play. We'll see how Clemson handles the little bit of success that they've had so far. Again, I don't know about this team. I don't know how they'll handle it. I don't know how they'll handle that environment that you mentioned up in Chestnut Hill. So I do think Clemson wins the game. I don't think they cover. I'm going to take the under in points. I'm going to take Boston College to cover. And my score prediction is going to be 27-17. Clemson gets out of there with a 10-point win over the Boston College Eagles. And sort of a back and forth game that, gets a little ugly at times because I don't trust this Clemson team not to make mistakes. And turnovers have not been our friend this year. So we'll see how we go in that department.
It just feels like it totally feels like BC is going to have some sort of, especially offensively, that they'll have a play where Clemson just they don't pass off a guy correctly, and they end up maybe Turbo Richard on a wheel route, just
big play, 40, 50 plus yard touchdown, just because somebody missed an assignment and you let a guy like that get behind you, or somebody misses a tackle and he takes it 40 yards to the house, because he's very capable of doing that as well. I could definitely see some plays like that happening in this game. We've turned the ball over, quite a bit. So, can't say we're not going to have a turnover. We got saved from a couple last week. There would have been turnovers, but ended up not being. So, we'll see. I don't think it's going to be nearly as easy of a win as it probably should be, or at least, from a talent level, what it should be. I do think it'll be a competitive game for Boston College, but I think Clemson will get the job done eventually on the road.
Yeah, we can talk about a 500 Clemson team.
Oh boy. We finally won't have a losing record if they can take care of business this weekend.
We've arrived as a program, man.
We'll
We've
be
made
3-3 on the year. Man, if we turn things around.
yeah.
Man. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I could see a very irritating game. I could see it.
Yeah.
The offense built some momentum and put some good things out there, and it would not surprise me if they go out there and don't look like that at all. And we're sitting there like, what is happening? What?
Yep.
I guess we just need to play North Carolina for the rest of the season, and we'll feel ourselves. So we'll see. We'll see. A much better team than North Carolina. Still not a good team. Still not a great team. But we'll see how Clemson handles it.
Yep.
All right, guys, make sure you're checking out the Voice of College Football, Twitter, Instagram, X, Instagram, Facebook, wherever and whenever you consume your college football content. Make sure you're following us on all the socials. Help grow those channels. That's where we put out our schedules. We put out all sorts of information, articles from the website, maybe deals on different products from the shop for getting your VOCFB swag there. So go check it out. Make sure you're checking us out on all your favorite audio streaming platforms, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, wherever, whenever you like to consume your podcast. Make sure you're searching for Clemson Live. All of our long form videos over there. All of our cut-ups are over there in podcast form. So whether you like to run, you're on long drives, you just like to plug in your headphones while you're working throughout the day, make sure you search up Clemson Live, give us a rate, review, subscribe over there. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Obviously, this is a live video. Hit that like button. It helps us out. And consider subscribing. We are ever so close, Jordan, to that 6,000 subscriber mark. And your guys' help with that would be greatly appreciated. With that said, and without further ado, we're going to turn it over to the comment section and see what you guys are talking about.
Yep, absolutely. One thing we didn't hit on, just kind of program news. Jamal Anderson officially they decided they're going to redshirt him.
Yes.
We will see kind of what that means for his future. They want to see if they want him to get this year. They want to preserve this year and see if they can get him next year. I don't know if that's going to be in his plans. We'll see. But
we'll see.
They felt like this was the best move, and you've seen his snaps diminish over the last couple of games, and he's played only special teams. I think he's I've been vocal about kind of my disappointment and kind of his development so far, and it's if you can get him back another year, I'm not against that, and we'll see if he can figure some things out, because I do think coming out of high school, and I still think like physically he has he has ability, but he's just kind of, I don't really know where you fit him, because he's not. I don't think he's big enough to play true linebacker, and I don't think he's, I think he had a couple of nice moments in coverage against LSU, but then he's had some really bad lapses since then, and he's made some mental mistakes. So yeah, it's I don't know. He's kind of been an enigma on this defense in terms of just why he hasn't been able to get better. But he's officially going to redshirt this season, so.
Shutting them down this season. We'll see. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I got a feeling he might not be here next year.
Yeah. All right. Let's see what you guys are talking about. Isaac asked, "What's the game time and channel?" Yep, 7:30 on the ACC network. that's gonna be a barn burner. That's gonna be the prime time on the ACC network. Just the spot everybody covets.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, they put us on the big boy channel this week. All right,
Mm-hmm.
we're they were thinking about the CW, and they're like, you know what? No, ACC network.
ACC network. This is. I mean, it's the O'Rourke McFadden Trophy, man. Like this is the biggest rivalry in the ACC.
The leather helmet.
Yeah. Oh man, you gotta love it. John says, "How bad is Clemson this year, getting more than one game on ACC network?" Yeah.
Yeah, it ain't been good.
Mm-hmm. Let me see what you guys said about the score predictions. Isaac has 28-17 Clemson over BC. Yeah, I can totally see that. Els King says 24-17 Clemson. Yeah, I think that's well within the card. I mean, this is a game. I could totally see the offense just showing up and struggling, and this is a dogfight. Because that's been the majority of what we've seen this season. Last Saturday was the enigma, not the enigma, the outlier. John says, good news. Also, Saturday, not low, will be 8 or 10 degrees warmer than most of this week in Chestnut Hill. Yeah, that's a good sign. Won't be too cold up there. It should be pretty nice weather.
Yeah.
So it won't fall under the same trappings that a lot of games in Chestnut Hill can be. And as you get in the fall, where the temperature starts to go down, and teams aren't always prepared for that. That's always been a talking point. When Clemson has gone up there, but I've never really watched a game against them up in Chestnut Hill where I felt like the weather was a big factor.
No,
maybe against other teams it's been that way, but for Clemson it's been. I mean, they've had they in general just have not had too many problems beating Boston College over the last 15, 16 years, but
yeah, not really.
Knock on wood though, because
yeah. Yeah, the second we say that, they'll rectify it this Saturday.
Yeah. But yeah, and again, you haven't been up there. You haven't played this team at all in 3 years, so it's a little bit different. Johnson, Harris Spiller. I think that was in reference to my. He says it was a joke. Oh, I think it was in reference to me talking about Jamal Anderson. People want to fire Spiller for anything, even though that's not even his position coach.
That's right. That's right.
Els King says, "Who wants ABC when they can have ACC network?"
That's right. We on the big boy channel now. ACC network. If we lost to North Carolina, they might have just stopped televising Clemson games. They'd put that shit on the ESPN app. Yeah, you ain't on no channel.
No, we're not.
On ESPN Plus.
Oh God, man.
That's the only way you could watch a Clemson game.
It's a rock bottom, man. Just kick us out the AC. I mean, our TV revenue share is about to be.
Matter of fact, you remember when y'all sued us?
Yeah.
Go ahead. You can leave. You ain't even gotta pay us.
Oh man, that'd be something. Isaac Smith says the CW is wild. I remember the first time we played on that channel, I thought it was a joke. Well, it was a joke of a football game. If I remember, that was NC State in 2023.
Yeah.
I feel like that game was on the CW.
Probably was.
That was a
clown show.
Miserable football game to watch. Still remember Peyton Wilson pick six. I mean, that was rock bottom that season. Good,
Yeah, that was rough.
Yeah,
that was rough.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that game was on the CW. I think that was the first year that they had announced that partnership. King says, I believe this game will solely depend on Garrett Riley. The defense will hold them to 20 or under. Yeah, I mean, I think the defense built some confidence this past weekend. And, I think it was good to see your stars making plays. I mean, TJ Parker got involved finally. And, I thought the defensive line in general played well. So, I think that's something to build on. I think BC's offensive line is competent, at least pass blocking. They haven't given up a ton of sacks or tackles for loss, but they just have not run the football very well. We'll see if the defense can have the same level of success against a better offensive line. But yeah, I think I don't expect BC to light the world on fire.
Make sure they tell Stephon Green to be nicer to the quarterback.
Oh yeah, dude, don't get me started on that. Jesus,
he's being too mean out there. Okay.
So the game has gotten so. I mean, I appreciate what he said. He said the game has gotten soft. I mean,
yeah. At least he didn't sugarcoat it, man. He's just like, they're soft, whatever.
Yeah. He's a great player. He's going to be a great. I mean, he's a great player. I'm just happy to see more and more of him as the season goes on because he's good, man. It's been a rough season, but you still have some good players, man. And to appreciate the ones out there that are playing at a high level because he's putting on some good tape right now.
Yeah, he's definitely been a bright spot.
John says it's just a knee-jerk reaction to anything. Fire all the Nepo coaches. Yeah,
that's right.
I mean,
if Dabo knows you, you're fired.
Yeah. I do think they need to make some significant.
But then the same group keep clamoring for Jeff Scott to come back.
Yeah, that's the thing that kills me.
Make it make sense. Like, you people are crazy.
Yeah.
Fire all the Nepo coaches, but bring Jeff Scott back. We want him as offensive coordinator.
He was very much a Nepo coach on multiple.
By the way, he's never called plays, but okay.
Yeah,
we'll take him as our offensive coordinator. The one thing they complain about is we hire coaches that ain't never done it before, and then clamor to hire a coach that ain't never done it before. Good job.
Yeah.
Guys are geniuses. Should all be ADs running successful college athletic programs.
Yep. Joe Long comes in, our resident Notre Dame fan. He says, the Clemtones, congrats on the big win. It's not over till it's over. Hey, we appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
We're just, we're as you can see, we're overjoyed and
we're still floating out in the middle of the ocean. The motor still broke down. We did get a couple paddles going last week, so
yeah,
we'll see.
We'll see. It's a great analogy.
See if we can get ourselves to shore.
Yeah. Goodness gracious, but thank you. Isaac Smith, yes, the 23 was a miserable season. Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, it was.
But I missed that season right now. Nah, well, let me chill. But let's see how this team plays out. How this season plays out.
At least the end of that season. At least we ended well.
Yeah,
we tried.
Yeah. John says, "Do you guys see the chat when you live stream the games?" Yes.
Yes, we do.
if you guys would show up, but that's
yeah. I got a bump. Hold up, Jordan. We forgot to address this. We might only have 13 people in here right now, but I got a bone to pick with y'all. I was busy last weekend. I was at a softball game, and y'all left my boy Jordan hanging all by himself on the street.
Hey, it was fine. I was chilling, but I was like, dang.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah.
You know,
we're doing the parent.
Do the dad thing.
Do the dad thing.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah. That's all I got to say on that. I think you said it perfectly.
Y'all better show up this weekend.
Yeah. Elskin says Tony Elliott got UVA's offense humming. Yeah, indeed they do.
He does. They look good. I'm happy for him, man. Like I'm glad he's having, his best season so far at Virginia. I really am happy for him. But even him, like, I know all the Clemson fans are looking over at Tony Elliott and like, man, look at the success he's having at Virginia now. They wanted him gone when he took that Virginia job.
Mm-hmm.
I think the vast majority of Clemson fans were not sad to see him go when he left to take the Virginia job. So I know everybody's got revisionist history and they forget, but everybody was done with Tony Elliott calling plays at Clemson.
Yeah. John says, I was typing away but got no response. I didn't see anybody in there. So let me see something. I'm gonna do my own. I'm gonna go to the stream and see. Not that I don't. Not because I'm saying like he's lying or anything. I just want to see for myself if maybe I had a setting on different, because I went to the live chat tab on StreamYard. There was nothing. So let me see what that's about. Live members only watch.
Did you see Jordan in there, John? Could you see him on stream?
Let's see. Open panel.
Yeah, that's a good excuse, Isaac. I'll give you that one. Out celebrating your brother's birthday. That's respectable.
That's fine.
That's respectable.
Well, he's not a channel member, so he wouldn't have been able to show up anyway. But yeah, I'm on a live chat replay and there's nothing. Were you on the right stream? Were you on the post game? Were you chatting on the post game? Because I don't see anything.
He said he saw you on screen. I don't know what happened, but try again this week, John. We'll be on there.
We'll try it again
under the members only tab. We'll drop a link. The stream will be posted on there. So try again this week. Hopefully we can figure it out.
Yeah, I mean,
he said all three of them were in there. Huh?
That's strange.
All right. Well, we'll look into it. We'll try it again this week. See if we can get it figured out, John. That's our bad.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about. All right, we'll try it again this week and see what's up, because I'm not even. Oh, okay. Now I see it. All right, let me see if I'm gonna try something real quick, or I'm gonna check something, because that's weird, because I could not see anything. Let's go past live stream. Where is it? We're doing some investigative work. Let's just see what's up. Why that
like to troll us every now and then, so it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, because I wouldn't have just been, because I was sitting there, I was sitting there eating, I was doing whatever, and I didn't see anybody in the live chat. Let me see. I'm gonna go mute for a second. You keep reading responses. I'm gonna check something.
Isaac Smith says that's really saying a lot too. Like, I missed 23 season. Yeah. It's bad when people are saying stuff like that. It's bad. Joe Long said, I'd like to see the matchup of Klubnik versus Beck for the marbles. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen, but it would be nice. It'd be nice to see the matchup.
YouTube doesn't support comments on private videos. Create a public or unlisted stream to show comments from your. Oh, I wonder if did I have it on the wrong setting or what?
You gotta go. So when you create the members only streams, you gotta go to YouTube Studio and change, because when we create it in StreamYard, the only way we can create it is either public or private, right? Or unlisted, right? So when you create it in StreamYard, you have to create it as private. And then you got to go to YouTube Studios and change it from private to members only.
Okay. But clearly it was clearly on members only because they were able to access.
Yeah, they were able to access. I don't know why. I don't know.
That's weird because I couldn't see anything.
Hopefully it works on Saturday. We'll see.
Maybe if I had hit show comments on stage, maybe it would appear on my screen. I don't know, but yeah, we'll create a public or unlisted stream to show comments from your. So maybe do I need to make it unlisted and then do members only? Maybe,
yeah. We could try that this weekend, see if it works.
Yeah. Well, sorry about that then, because yeah. Obviously, I wasn't just ignoring you guys if you were typing in there, because I was like, dang, nobody's here. Where's everybody at? All right, we'll get it right this weekend then. All right. Let's do a couple
Isaac
more.
Smith said Bill Belichick and UNC just released a statement. Oh, Lord, what did they say? Hold up. I got to look this up.
Yeah. Let's see. Was it where did you see that? Was it on on their team social media?
Yeah, it's right here on Twitter. Bill Belichick, I'm fully committed to UNC football and the program we're building here. Bubba Cunningham said Coach Belichick has the full support of the Department of Athletics and University. Yeah, okay, brother. That's a bunch of BS.
Yeah.
How much do they owe him if they fire him? Like, if they wanted to fire him right now, what would they owe him?
Not really sure.
That's crazy. Well, shout out to North Carolina.
Shout out to North Carolina. The hell was that? I just heard something out my window. I'm scared, y'all. Which one of y'all is outside my?
Who's outside my window?
Yeah. North Carolina. There it is. I mean, the fact you're even having to put this out. These are statements. I mean, these are statements made when internally it's a mess.
Yeah, they're lies. Those statements are always far from the truth. Oh, yeah, that makes sense, John. The leaks in violation were an effort to fire him for calls. Yeah, because they don't want to pay any money.
Yeah, that would make sense.
They probably owe him a ton of money if they fire him because it's the first year of his contract. I bet you they owe him a ton of money if they fire him.
Indeed, they do. And if they are discussing buyout options, I mean, I think that says it all. I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean they're like going to do it right now, but
they're talking about it.
They could be talking about it. Say, hey, if this doesn't work out, but so it's a mess. It's a mess. All right. Desperate Men says, since North Carolina is statistically among the worst teams in all of college football, it's hard to garner much from this much needed win. Yeah, I mean, and we've maintained that, it's, I mean, at the very least, really the very most you can say is that, hey, they made a bad team look bad, and that's something they haven't done this year. So, maybe that, that really all that tells us is Clemson is not quite as is not, the worst team in football. So that's good to know. But it doesn't really tell us much in terms of what we can expect for the rest of the season. Because I mean, we're going into this Boston College game, and you can hear it in our voices. Neither of us really know what we're going to get on Saturday. That's just the reality. It's a different team, different environment. Yeah, not the same level, nearly the same level of internal issues. Obviously, they don't have 70 new players. It's a different game entirely. So, do they revert back to what we've seen in the other 4 games, or did they actually find something that they can build on going forward? That's what this weekend is going to tell us a lot about. But I'm interested to see it regardless, because I'm even when Clemson is playing terribly, the thing I want to do most is watch them play another game, because that's always the opportunity that or the chance that things get better. I don't like sitting on losses. So which is why this past Saturday was, as probably meaningless as it was for the overall tone of the season, it was good to see, just for my mental health. So we'll take those. All right. Let's see. John says Troy was better than UNC. Not buying that logic. They played much better versus UNC on both sides than against equally bad Troy. Good grief. I mean, I don't know. When I watched Troy, I saw a better coached football team on tape. I don't know if they're probably about the same. Troy is probably better in some metrics. UNC might be better in others, but I don't think either team was particularly good. But like you said, I think the good thing is Clemson looked far more polished and in control against UNC than Troy. So I mean, if we're operating under the assumption that Troy and UNC are comparable teams, then yes, that's a step in the right a big step in the right direction in terms of just quality of performance. All right. Oops. All right. Well, I think we'll end it off on that note. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Greatly appreciated. I survived the show, guys. My Wi-Fi didn't fail me, or my hotspot didn't fail me.
The hotspot was enough. Hopefully the internet's better by Saturday.
Hopefully it's better by like a couple of hours, in a couple of hours, because this is ridiculous.
For your sake, yes.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's better tonight sometime, rather than days. But appreciate all you guys coming to hang out tonight. I know it's a bit of a change in the schedule, but I had to do some running around yesterday and just did not get home in time to be able to do the show. So appreciate everybody who came out tonight and hung out with us. Saturday, 7:30 p.m., we will do a members-only live stream of the game. So if you want to come and hang out with me and Jordan on Saturday to watch the Clemson game together, be sure to become a channel member. Click the join button right under this video. Select any of the tiers. It's a way to support the channel monthly and get some bonus content such as the game stream that we'll be doing on Saturday. So look forward to seeing all the channel members there. If you're interested in that kind of content, be sure to become a channel member before Saturday. Again, we'll fire that stream up probably 5-10 minutes before the game kicks off. And we'll be hanging out for the duration of the game. And then we'll be back here on the regular YouTube for our post-game live reaction to the game. So stay tuned for that. We'll see you guys all on Saturday. Until then, I'm Tiger Paul Craven. He's Jordan Bowman. Go Tigers.
Later, y'all. And no, I don't live in the boonies. It's AT&T.
They always be making fun of where you live, man. That's
it's a network outage. I'm not the only one that's affected. It's a network outage in this area.
I forget who was saying it earlier. Somebody was like, "Man, Jordan lives on top of a mountain somewhere."
Yeah, like no, I don't.
He doesn't. He does not live on top of a mountain.
I might as well. At this point, I guess. I mean, this is ridiculous. But let's get out of here.
All right, y'all. Have a good night. We'll see you on Saturday.